Hey everybody, Frap is back. We're live, we're kicking. A lot of things have happened since we've been gone, but man, we're going to be covering a lot because this has been wild. It's been happening in the Homestuck universe, it's been happening in the real world. Let's get this going. Alright, as everyone knows, I'm Khan. If you haven't been following the Twitter, I did have COVID-19 for a while, and I was very sick. But I'm back, and I'm ready to get back into it. And here we got who else?
I'm a Saxel. I'm very glad that Khan didn't die. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm
You got pretty
sure
close
we all
there.
are. Yeah.
And we got Tart here.
Yeah, I'm still here. Luckily.
Alrighty. Yeah. Hopefully no one else who's related to the podcast gets COVID. Hopefully just nobody else gets COVID. But
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, anyone who says it's a flu, it's not a flu. It onset with me, and I was literally on the floor within 2 hours of its onset. So I'm a healthy young man. It's not a flu, man. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, COVID stuff aside.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the middle of, not in the middle of June. We're at the tail end of June. We're coming up to July now.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of, and then nothing at all stuff going on with Homestuck this month because of the June break.
Yeah.
The June break, quote unquote.
Yeah. June. Anyway.
So we'll start off. There was a slight mishap with MSPFA, and we lost a very good fan venture. Oldfijiwater.png or JPG MPG. I don't actually know what the file name extension was on that, but I heard it's really good. I haven't had a chance to read it, but it's lost to the void for right now, and it's on an indefinite hiatus. So our thoughts, our prayers are out to you, and let's hope we can find it somewhere. A few other MSPFAs were lost. I think they were less prominent, or I haven't heard of them. But quick moment of silence for the lost souls. All right, that's enough.
Yeah. Make sure to check your stuff if you are writing anything.
Always save your backups. You don't want to end up like Be the Sea Dweller Lowblood.
No.
And have like 80% of your comic lost to the what was it called?
The Great Photo Bucket Destruction of 2014 or whatever.
Yep, the photo bucket destruction. That was so sad. So sad. I did luckily find the back 80% of Be the Sea Dweller Lowblood on an Imgur album. I found it, and it was beautiful. But
God bless your efforts there, Con, because I love the Sea Dweller Lowblood.
Yeah, but we still lost the first 20%.
Yeah.
All right. But okay, back on it. So there's been one update since since our last episode, the Jade episode. It was nothing. It was literally nothing.
It was nothing.
We got some pretty pictures, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like some of the like weird animals and stuff you see through Terezi's point of view is very like neat. I like the weird spider bunnies, personally. But like, it's just a big nothing burger. The whole update after what that stupid fucking Jade Yiffy update. Ugh. I hate it.
It was just bad. It's just nothing. And then there was the secret update, the Influencers Part 1. Who knows if we'll ever get Part 2.
Please no.
Yeah, a gang of fucking Danganronpa rejects walk around doing nothing of note until they meet Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have generic girl, basic girl with a tie, a leprechaun, talking to Bernie Sanders in that comic, in that little bonus update that you had to pay money. You had to pay money to see a Bernie Sanders propaganda that came out a month too late or something. Our editor Val, and we also Val mentioned this. Like, how did Gamzee's body go from the floor to the closet? And they address it there really quickly in this bonus update. And I know for a fact they're addressing like the allegations that it was on our Twitter, but it blew up quite a bit. But I know for a fact they're trying to address those allegations because holy shit, that was a big plot. That was a big plot hole.
Well, what's funny is that that plot hole was something people were staunchly defending, saying, no, it's just proof that Candy Universe is falling apart in reality because Calliope's no longer there. So Gamzee being on the floor in one panel and then magically being in the closet with everybody in the next, even though we clearly saw them all running away from his body being dumped there, is acceptable, except not really, because this retcon now exists. So now it's not a case of they meant it. It was, well, they actually did fucking forget. Way to go.
I'd have expected a bit of basic continuity here, but they aren't comic writers. So,
yeah, the writers actually reading what they wrote is a big issue.
Well,
I will say...
Sorry, I want to interject real quick. They didn't write the epilogues, and the epilogues is the foundation for Homestuck too. This is what happens when you don't do your homework, kids. It's like becoming a storyboard artist for a show, and then not educating yourself about that show entirely and just going up with whatever you kind of come up with. Sort of like Zook with the Lapis and Peridot situation in Steven Universe.
Don't remind me about the state of the animation industry.
Poor Lapidot. Okay, so but what I wanted to mention is large universes are very hard to maintain and keep yourself up on. And I'm going to tell you something straight up. George Martin actually references the Song of Ice and Fire wiki, and he has a guy he pays to literally keep the universe straight for him.
Yeah, he has two people, Elio and Linda, who he pays.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I love Song of Ice and Fires. I don't like the show, but I love the books, and I just find it's so expansive that he pays somebody to keep it straight for him.
I mean, this isn't really a one-off thing. There's a bunch of management positions related to this sort of consistency and continuity in big writing rooms all across the world.
Yeah, and the writing team should have someone like this.
Not to say they can afford having a dedicated person, but a bit of attention here and there is definitely worth it.
I mean, I bet they could have it. There's plenty of people in the Homestuck universe who are obsessed with the details and bullshit. I know a ton of people personally that treat Homestuck like a Bible, you know?
Probably do it for free.
Yeah, they'll do it for free. You pay them $20 a month, and they'll do it.
You just pay them in Hot Pockets, you guys. Remember, they do it for free.
Or put their fan troll in the comic.
Oh my god.
Pay them by putting their fan troll in the comic, like what happened with the Kickstarter update. You know, one panel in the background. That's all they gotta do.
Only this time they won't be paying 20 fucking grand.
God.
I mean, that honestly, with how trash the comic is already, why not just put someone's fan troll in as an official character just to make them do the fucking work, keep everything continuous.
I mean, there's fan characters that are better than what we saw for the influencers characters. Did you see that shit? Come on.
Fuck. How did you vocalize a camera emoji or whatever emoji it was?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
We're not gonna talk about that though. And frankly,
Oh yeah,
this state of affairs makes me very sad. I would rather talk about something good that's created by the community. And what I mean by that is, have you guys heard of Befriendus?
Nice sake. Yeah.
I
God.
I've not. I when that was coming out, I was sick and I was recovering from stuff. But you guys, please talk. Please talk about Befriendus.
Oh man, Befriendus is a fan made project in lieu of like the Friend Sim project and Pester Quest from What Pumpkin, focusing on the Alpha Trolls. You know, the ones from Open Bound and Act 6, the ones that like a lot of people either really like or don't care about whatsoever, depending on who you ask. So, Befriendus, I forget exactly when it released, but the two characters it focuses on first are Mina and Matuna. And I admit, when I looked into it, I was like, I don't know. The art looks okay. Not okay. It looked pretty passable, especially compared to like some of the Pester Quest art, honestly.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I was quite skeptical of the design. They turned
Yeah.
Matuna into a fucking e-boy.
He is an e-boy. I really liked his design, though. I was just a little leery about it because, you know, it's a fan-made thing, and it's just like, oh god, they're going to, like, get these characters wrong. I can't wait to hear about how Matuna is so fucking problematic, and Mina being an obnoxious bitch. My favorite. But when I sat down to actually play it, I was really surprised. I was wrapped up in Mina's thing and I played it with some friends and we got really sucked into it. Like, I don't even like Mina and I ended up enjoying myself through her route. And we actually picked the right way to go and we got some really cool ancestor lore for the alpha trolls, which involved the grown-up versions of the trolls that we met in Act 5, or 4 and 5. Yeah, like, there's this really cool thing in this game where it has, like, a Mindfang book that you get pages for by completing certain routes. And what's really cool about it is that it's like it, but Vriska isn't a rapist, number one, because it's before us. And number two, it goes over like this very intriguing story looking for what I suppose is the Karkat of the ancestors at that point. And that's really neat. You have all these other characters that are referenced. I don't want to spoil too much of it because reading through it was a lot of fun. Me and my friends, we were sitting there talking about it after we finished playing that. And Matuna's route will make you experience gamer pain, as my friends like to call it. God, I was so
Gamer
sad.
pain.
It's
The
gamer
most-
pain.
The most depressed
I
class
gotta
in the
check
world.
it out. I gotta check it out. Maybe when I'm done grinding in Pokemon, I will check it out.
Well, you can because it's free. You don't have to pay for it. And that's what is really great about Befriendus is its quality, its content, and the fact that it's free. And you can tell that the people who worked on it really, really love Homestuck. And these characters who I didn't even really care about, I ended up caring about after finishing this like episode, I guess I can call it.
Yeah, it's difficult to extrapolate, 20 minutes? 20 minutes of screen time into something you can tell a story about, but they managed it.
Yeah. Like, props to the Befriendus development crew. You guys made me feel and care about characters that I actually always liked Matuna, but, like, you guys made me care about Mina, and that's impressive. Thank you.
And if you keep up this record, you're gonna give me ones that I don't give a single fuck about.
Oh, I'm gonna be very impressed if they do something like that with, like, Horus and Cronus. Like, dude.
I got a weird history with Cronus. So Befriend Us, I thought that was like an actually official thing. I mean, that's how much out of the loop I was post-COVID. I have been out, and I thought I heard you guys talking about that on the various discords, and I'm like, just another piece of trash the writing team made. I actually might check it out now. It seems like another example of how the community is better than the official team. Well, better than the official team.
Arguably even better than Hussey, because, like, goddamn, Hussey couldn't even really put forth the effort in most of the Alpha Trolls except, like, Mina and fucking...
Arania.
The ones that appeal
yeah.
to his femdom fetish. You know?
Yeah, those ones. Kind of unfortunate, like, this is weird, but when they had the new Voxus Let's Read for Openbound, I forgot what Horace's character was like, so when I was sitting there listening to his lines and stuff, I was like, holy shit, why don't I remember this character? He's fucking hilarious. And it's because, you know, they're actually not really that important, and Hussey acknowledges they're not important. So
it's part of the joke, man. You just don't fucking get it. You're just too pea-brained.
I mean, a lot of the characters were jokes. I mean, Kankri was a complete joke, and so
I like Kankri though. He's funny. He just automatically teleports in front of people whenever they say something problematic. It's hilarious.
Oh no! I mean, he just because it's a joke doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, yeah, they weren't important on purpose, and it was just a joke. I always liked the Before-ish trolls. They were good. They were a really nice addition. So Befriend Us gets an A+ recommendation from the Frap crew. I will check it out, and I don't know, maybe if I feel up to it, I'll do something special with that. Maybe live stream it or some shit. I don't know. All right. Now the biggest news. We're 17 minutes in, but we got the biggest news. Kate is dead. Cue the crab dance. Now
all right, no, she's not actually dead though, but
yeah,
her influence on
I don't wish
Homestuck
Kate would ever
is
die.
ended, basically.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
She said as much, but I'm not going to believe anything someone like that says until I see it. But.
So what happened with... So Kate in May said she's going to jump off Twitter in June and go towards her personal Mastodon, which she actually followed through with, and everyone was like really happy. And then suddenly the Homestuck community on Twitter got so less toxic. And then a few weeks later, and then there was a whole bunch of, with the protests going around George Floyd, there was a lot of allegations of racism towards her because she was
dismissive
not
of
being very
some
supporting
of the causes behind it.
Yeah, she was distancing herself from the causes, but she was also supporting all of the rioters and the anarchists and the looters a lot. So, like, she was, and she wouldn't. So even though she was actively she said she was actively taking place in the riots, but she wasn't part of the protests, which I think that's pretty. I think that's the worst thing you could possibly do. And she wouldn't acknowledge the protests at all. Eventually, after a lot of backlash, the Homestuck Twitter event said something. But at one point, she screamed at a person on Mastodon and said, basically saying, nothing's going to change. We're not going to acknowledge shit on the Twitter because it's run by cops. And tell everyone you got the fangs, bitch.
What the hell?
She literally said, you got the fangs, bitch.
It's
and
like
I don't
being
even...
ravaged by a fucking kitten.
I just... That's just so...
Cringe.
It is cringe. You got the fangs, bitch. Like, what the fuck? Like, you have to actually... that's something that doesn't translate. That's like something you see in comics and shit, or like media, but it doesn't work in real life. It just makes you look like an asshole. And
Yeah.
well, she did. So there's a lot of that. She received a lot of backlash for how she treated it, and there's a lot of the crap that has come out that Kate has been putting up has been coming out, and she kind of went quiet on Mastodon for a bit. Well, no, she never got quiet on Mastodon. She got quiet about Homestuck on Mastodon. Never really apologized and did anything with her supporting of the riots, but not of the protests. I think that's probably the worst thing you could do. I think that's worse than silence, honestly. But let's not get too political with this podcast. Then Kate had said that somebody was emailing her friends about Hive Swap 2.
Oh yeah, that. God, the ass hurt from that is hilarious. God, they are so upset that people want the game they paid for.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
It's been 8 fucking years, Andrew. I gave you $10. Please.
I gave him 25, man. And that was 25 on the minimum wage high school worker salary, man.
Aww.
I was 17 or 8 years ago. Jesus, I was 17 or 16, 17, something like that. I just got my first job and I spent some of my first paychecks on Hive Swap. Like my whole fucking paychecks on
Aw.
Hive Swap because, you get paid shit.
You
get
must have been
paid shit.
so excited.
I was. And then I got it in 2017, was it?
Yeah.
God, I got it in 2017, and then I graduated high school, I graduated college, I became an adult, and I'm almost getting married soon. Like
Aw.
if it wasn't for COVID, I would have already been married, and I'm just like, come on, man. I've been waiting for the entirety of Hive Swap as long as I've been waiting for Winds of Winter. So
Damn. At least you didn't have to pay for Winds of Winter to not get it, though.
at least George Martin has been actively showing that he's actually writing it. He's
that's
released
cool.
he's been releasing chapters and bullshit, but yeah, at least there's been work on Winds of Winter, and there's proof of it. There's been nothing with Hive Swap or Hive Swap 2.
God. That's just terrible. Like, okay, I wasn't in Homestuck when the whatchamacallit, the Kickstarter dropped.
Oh yeah, you're a baby compared to me and Tart.
Yeah, I came in like right at the end, but I remember going like, hey, I remember them mentioning that there was like this Kickstarter thing back there. Is that still coming out? And I checked on it and I was just like, oh, it's already been like a few years. What the hell? So, like, God, when they announced that they were splitting the game into like 3 smaller games, I was like, oh, those people are never going to get it, are they? They're going to get like part 1 and maybe part 2, and that's going to be it. And I don't want to be right about that, but it kind of looks like that.
Yeah,
There's
the
like
thing
no
is,
transparency.
I know there's been work on part 2, and they've just not shown anything in like 10 fucking months. There's no communication at all.
Yeah. Let's not get too. This isn't a Hive Swap podcast, and I don't think we've written anything about that into the script. So let's stick to the script a bit.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
before we move off of the topic of Kate and the Homestuck Twitter,
we still
on
got a
behalf
bit.
of Phoebe, I want to say she called it.
Oh yeah, we got to explain more. We still got more to explain, Saxel.
Yeah.
We have. So if you look right now on the Homestuck 2 credits, Kate with official Twitter posts, or not Twitter, Mastodon posts, has said she's no longer on the writing team. Currently, the credits, as the writer credits, are only Aisha, Lalo, and Pip. Hussey is not a director or a writer anymore. Hussey's not even our director emeritus. Hussey's only credit is as an art contributor, and he's only in there because he literally created the characters.
And
Zamag has stepped down as the art director as well, and she's now a director emeritus, and De La Rosa is the art director, and I don't even know who they are. So,
I don't think anyone really knows who they are. We were talking about it in one of my groups, Discord groups, and we were like, I don't know who this person is.
if anyone knows who De La Rosa is, please tweet at us at Rumpy,
Rumpy.
Rumpus Fruity, and give me a DM, and we'll check. I'll gladly pass that information off. But yeah, I don't know who the hell De La Rosa is. I don't even know who Lalo is.
they probably
There's no
want
kid.
to stay anonymous, and frankly, I can't say I blame them.
Yeah, honestly, given the circumstances, you have a bunch of very ornery Homestuck fans now who are very angry about what's going on. So, I don't know. I do kind of respect the idea of hiding it under a box and not wanting to draw their attention, especially given what's been going on lately with the Homestuck Twitter and everyone's really like shitty attitudes going on.
Yeah, and rounding off the departures from the Homestuck 2 teams has been Optimistic Duelist, Taz.
Oh yeah, OD.
Yeah, he's fucked off completely from what I know.
Yeah, so a lot of changes with the Homestuck writing team.
Anyway, so we have like a bunch of people. There's this whole Homestuck 2 reshuffling going on to the point where they had to pull their June pause, their June break, and they're extending it through July apparently.
It's another gigapause.
It's happening
Yeah.
again.
God damn it.
I mean, are you guys upset about it though? Because like honestly, I'm not at the edge of my seat for anything from Homestuck 2. I'm still waiting for Hive Swap shit, but according to Kate, she'd rather see that shit burn than actually, us get any information or see the light of day for that game. So whatever.
She did tell someone to suck his dick.
The pictures of sad children guy, he did nothing wrong committing that actual fucking crime. Because he was sad, you see.
God.
Boo fucking who, you tosser.
Yeah, and Kate has said to members of the fandom, "Suck my dick." Yeah, so suck my dick in regards to Hive Swap 2. So that is the state of Hive Swap. That's the state of the Homestuck writing team. I'm glad that there have been some departures. Other departures, like Samag leaving, is actually kind of sad because the best part about Homestuck 2 was the sparse amount of art. But now we don't even have that.
Well, we don't even know what the new artist is going to be like. I mean, I hope that the direction's a little better because one of the things I had, even though Homestuck 2 I feel looks good, it has that bean person look. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I always kind of found it a little off-putting.
You know how Adventure Time has noodle arms, like they're, I would say, you could say they're like linguine or fettuccine.
Yeah.
Well, with Homestuck 2, same types of arms, but it's udon noodles.
God, that makes me hungry.
I think I'm gonna order some udon on Grubhub. My girlfriend's asleep. I think I can get away with that.
Hell yeah, treat yourself.
Okay, now I think we can get on to the actual topic. This is the Jimbo. I mean Dave episode. So let's get started. Who is the Dave Strider that we all fell in love with?
God, Dave was the cool kid. I mean, like, I can tell he's supposed to be like that sort of like ironic cool guy, you know, the sort of guy that says stupid shit, but he's just his like he's cool about it, right? So even though that what he's saying is kind of lame, it just loops around into being cool because he's cool.
Mm.
That was my take from Dave. Like, God, he was like really really funny. One of my favorite pester logs from him is the one where he goes on about the meteor the size of fucking Texas. That shit was funny. And he was like a good friend to John and to Rose, right? Like, and to Jade. Like, he's a good friend to all of them, I think, looking back. Like, him and Rose had great chemistry. John and him bounced off of each other really well. Jade and him, like, they had really good conversations. It's like, goddamn, man. Dave was like, if John was the main, like, audience vessel for everybody to, like, experience the story through, Dave was like the living, breathing character that was important for everybody else. And you can really tell with how he's treated. I know so many people who have Dave as their favorite character of Homestuck, and for good reason. Like, he had a really good personal attributes of himself. He was entertaining. He did a lot of shit, and I think he talks like the most to people.
Yeah.
Not like word count, because I'm pretty sure that's Carcat, but still.
I think it's Carcat, but Dave is close behind.
Dave was ironically cool. Yeah, he was ironically cool. It wrapped back around to where he was, gosh, he was so confusing. He's so hard to pin down, like, early on. He's that kid who who tries really hard to become cool, and, you know, isn't cool, but then he ends up becoming cool because he gets these cool powers. He's the time master. All the shit he did on Lohawk was pretty awesome. You know, where he was a staunch capitalist who crashed a fucking stock market for his own gain, using an investment from his using money he stole off his friend. Yeah, I mean, but, like, also cool swords, like the half sword kind. That's actually, like, kind of badass in an anime way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just fucking Esper Aragorn, really.
Yeah, he is Esper Aragorn. I mean, it is funny. It's fun to see him change. It's fun to see him react, and also he's like a dork. He's still a dork because he takes a picture of his own. He's a dork, but he's smart. I mean, he takes a picture of his own fucking brain, and, like, only a dork would do that. But also the fact he could do stuff with that, and, like, his whole capture log stuff was, like, clever and funny, where John was, like, you know, ham-fisted. I mean,
I think what the biggest appeal with Dave is that he feels like a multi-layered character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's
like,
an onion.
He's an onion. He has, like, this ironic outer layer, but, like, underneath that, he's, like, a good guy. He's not, like, outwardly malicious or dick. You know, he obviously, at the start of Homestuck, really cares about his friends, and he goes through a lot of shit to make sure they're all okay.
Yeah. At his core, it really feels like he started out as a decent guy who thought he was this sort of dickhead, but ended up proving not the expectations of other people, but he ended up smashing his own expectations of himself.
Yeah. Like, Dave does so much in Homestuck. You know, especially in the early acts, he's just on the go. He's, like, one half the reason why they're so successful. He's also the reason why they are able to fix their mistakes as their time player. He's a very active time player who is constantly on the go, constantly keeping up with everything going on so that they can get through their hell session, which, like, I guess I have to remind, only lasts for 1 day. It's insane, really.
It's like an episode of 24.
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't mind watching Homestuck be presented sort of like 24. It would really kick up the stakes there.
Yeah, that was always jarring to me, like how much development happened to these characters in just a couple days.
No, it was 1 day.
Yeah, well, yeah, just 1 day, and then also in the troll session, it was 2 weeks, and we got so much out of that.
No, it was
Yeah,
like
I'm
longer
surprised.
than 2 weeks, wasn't it? Wasn't it like 3 months that their session went on for?
I thought it was 2 weeks.
I can't remember, but I know they effectively speedran the game.
Yeah, they did speedrun the game, so they're like, we went through this pretty fast, but you're gonna have to go faster than we did.
Damn. Yet, I just, that was like an issue. One issue was the pacing of the comic. Like, I don't like how comics they take like, oh, it's only 1 day, and it takes you over a year to describe what happened in 1 day. I don't like that. It like breaks up. It just makes it hard to wrap your mind around it, and then you
Yeah.
look back at it like, that was 1 day. What the fuck?
Especially with
Yeah,
someone
seriously?
like Hussey, who is just perpetually distracted.
Yeah, and then they skip several years at some points
Yeah.
with one flash. They go over several years with one flash. So I kind of like,
Yeah.
it's, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
What's a bad thing is not showing character development during that time and then going, hey, by the way, this is the thing now. This is your characters. Here you go. And no one exemplifies that more than what happened with Dave.
Mm-hmm.
One of the cool things about Dave is that you do have a constant reminder through at least most of the story of what Dave used to be. And that Dave would be Davesprite.
Yeah, we respect him in this house, man.
Davesprite is a champion. He came from a doomed timeline that Terezi made. By the way, thanks, bitch, for that. Came from a doomed timeline that she made to jump back in time, prototype himself into his sprite so that he could help himself and help everybody else so everyone wouldn't die.
How did Terezi make that Doom timeline? I forgot.
She told John, hey, go fight your denizen, it'll be great. We're gonna speedrun this shit. And John
shit.
was just like, okay. So he
I
took
forgot
off.
all about that.
Yep. John's not the brightest boy in the shed.
The fact that he listens to Terezi after that blows my fucking mind.
Well, he
Do
doesn't
what
remember,
I
does he?
say, John.
John, do what I say. John, do what I say. John. You know, the fact that he listens to her a second time, because I guess it was 3 years had passed, but still, it's like, you killed me. Like, you permadeath me in another timeline.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
but that was 3 years ago. And she's had so much character development that John wouldn't have been able to see because he was fucking stuck on a ship for 3 years, but let's ignore that. God.
Oh.
Also, she killed Vriska. I mean, like, fuck, man. John liked Vriska to some degree.
Yeah.
I think John really liked Vriska. Also, John liked Vriska a lot. And it's only been 1 day, but also I've been 13 and I've dated people and it's lasted like 2 or 3 days, so I guess that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure several of the listeners have asked a girl out and then they break up with you the next day. That's just how being 13 works. So,
Anyway, we're talking about John and Dave's episode. That's actually kind of ironic. Let's pull back. So, Davesprite exemplifies early Dave At least that's my feeling about it, where he's a very, like, heroic figure who sacrifices a lot to do the right thing and fix all the problems so that everyone can survive and get through this shit. I said in the Jade episode that that's something that Jade does too, where she puts her well-being aside and her feelings so that she can power through and do what needs to be done in order for them to have a happy ending too, you know?
I mean, as you should when you're when you're suddenly thrust upon to be the savior of your universe and be the creators of another. You kind of have to.
I mean, just like if you don't even want to do that, like, fuck, man. Do you want to die? Like, you're 13. Do you really want to die?
Just don't.
It,
yeah.
And do your friends want to die? Do you want to watch your friends die? Dave didn't want to watch his friend die. He said that he listened to Jade basically die, and that stuck with him. And that's one of the reasons why he jumped back. He wanted to save John and save Jade and fix the timeline, even if it meant abandoning his Rose to do it, you know? And I mean, that's sad and shit, but God.
Why didn't he take Rose with him?
Looking back, I don't know. Probably because he knew that she'd be doomed anyway. Because
so was he.
If you are not the right version of a person in a different timeline, you're pretty much automatically doomed.
Yeah, he probably just didn't want her to experience that, and
which is why
didn't know what would
Davesprite
happen
himself.
at the end of a timeline or something like that. Prototyping himself was a way to, I guess, offset that for himself. But that came with a whole list of other issues for him. Like, damn. Point is, alpha timelines suck.
Yeah. I thought I was going to say something, but I forgot. I'll just cut that out. Yeah, the alpha timelines really do suck. I mean, the whole timeline thing sucks entirely. And it's also confusing as hell. Like, it's a whole bunch of withering branches off of a main tree. And, like, who decides what's the alpha timeline? Like, what actually does decide what's alpha and what's not? Was there ever a mechanic or something about that?
Technically speaking, Lord English is the marker of what decides whether or not something is alpha or not, because he's the Lord of Time. And ultimately, the entirety of the entirety of the Spurb sessions, the entirety of Homestuck exists to service Lord English. They have to create him so that he can make the story happen and cycle to the end where he is defeated and created. It's weird. It's a weird cyclic, stupid bullshit.
Huh. So I thought, but man, we'll talk about that later. Oh,
so
I keep forgetting what I was gonna say.
The problem with, like, the alpha timelines and Dave specifically, and you really see it, is how the best of what Dave is tossed aside for what we're told is supposed to be the best version of him. But is it really the best version of him? I don't know. I don't think so. And Davesprite himself exists and kind of stands stark against that whole situation. And the problem is that towards the end of Homestuck, despite Davesprite being such an involved character, he falls to the wayside until Hussey decides,
Bored now,
and I don't know what to do with fucking Davesprite anymore. I guess I'm gonna have him commit suicide by combining with Nepeta. Here we go.
Yeah, and to the people who say Nepeta and Davesprite just fused, they're both still alive, I'm going to point out something. Now, you know how in Star Trek there are teleporters, right? The thing with teleporters is the idea of teleporters is essentially they dematerialize you. They remember how all of the pieces you had were put together, and then put them back together somewhere else. Now, what really, and kind of what they're doing is they're slicing you up into a trillion little pieces, and they're basically just slicing your body up into a million little pieces, and then stacking up a million different other pieces in the same order. It's like if you took two Legos. It's like if you deconstructed one Lego set, and you deconstructed one Lego set to figure out how it's made, and then you remade it with entirely different pieces somewhere else. Effectively in Star Trek, every time someone stepped into a teleporter, they committed suicide. And another Lego set of them was recreated somewhere else. And that's what happened with Dave.
Well,
In fact,
kind
it's
of.
not even that. It's like if you got teleported and then you reappeared with another fucking head blowing out your fucking neck.
Yeah, all of the Fly,
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just...
because I would hazard to guess that the Fly hybrid, the Fly human hybrid, they're not the same. They're just two completely different creatures. They're not a mixture of the two. They're just the mixture of the Fly and the mixture of the man. They're just two abominations that are vaguely related, are vaguely even related to the original creatures. So that's what happened with Dave Epida Sprite Squared.
Dave Petta is, oh god, I've heard arguments that Dave Sprite still exists in Dave Petta, so you shouldn't be sad that he's gone now because that's still him. And I'm like, no, that's kind of untrue, because Sprite Squared holds all versions of themselves in them, not just the one version. So technically, Dave Sprite experienced ego death, and so did Nepeta at that fusion. Like, they're a conglomeration of their two halves ad infinitum in one body. And even then, Nepeta doesn't really exist inside Dave Petta except to make cat puns.
She's just that irrelevant.
God, it sucks because Nepeta, like, as a character, is actually very kind and very thoughtful of her friends. And, that doesn't really come out with Dave Petta, especially if you go over his fucking discussion with Jade at the end of Homestuck. God.
Yeah, and both the characters, like Nepeta and Dave Sprite, are selfless as hell. They are like some of the most selfless characters, and then Dave Epida is like is actually kind of selfish, and kind of just an asshole. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, the only like selfless thing that Dave Petta really does is in the epilogues where they take the second to slam dunk Lord English into the candy hole. That's about it.
The candy hole.
Yeah, the candy
Never
hole.
say that again. Never say that again.
I'm gonna say the candy hole as much as I want.
God damn it. Okay, so I wanted to say one thing. I was always confused on this. You know how we were talking about how you don't want, some of the motivations for the kids is to finish Esperb is to not die, to make sure your friends are safe. What about the existential crisis of if they fail, existence stops because there's no new universe is being created, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, there's one universe at a time, and if they stop, everything's destroyed.
The past universes sort of get reseeded, but in terms of the existence that they know, it's just it's not there.
Well, even then, there's since I dragged us back down this path real quick. Even then, I thought it was a cycle, and you only get one reset. What happened? But it's never been discussed what happens when both resets fail or both tries fail.
You mean the Carapacian's role in reseeding the planet?
Well, like with Spurb, it's not just one attempt. Like, what happened with all of the other sessions that started on the Beta Kids Earth? Hussey did say that, like, those are other sessions, and whether or not they're successful is, like, kind of a shrug. But they are different sessions. So theoretically, there could be other successful universe creation sessions. It seems kind of weird that there would only be one frog temple in one universe for one specific planet. It could be that there are a bunch of frog temples on planets that could host sapient life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but honestly, probably all of them would fail because they didn't have Beck.
Oh,
Beck kind of
First Guardians
help.
are, yeah, they're important, or at least I assume so. Like, I've had this, like, theory that First Guardians aren't really a suburb thing, but they're actually a hint of Lord English and his Green Sun powers, since they derive their powers from the Green Sun, which is a Lord English thing.
True.
But
Okay.
we're getting off topic here again.
I was so that clears it up a lot. I was so confused. Like, this is just how universes reproduce, but whatever. Okay, now back to Davesprite and Suicide by Nepeta.
Yeah, like, Davesprite is very unfortunate because he has a lot of, like, early Dave's kind of things where he looks up to, like, well, not even that. He looked up to Bro, but he also fought a side Bro against Jack, their Jack Noir in the beta session, which ended with Bro getting killed and Davesprite getting very, very hurt during the fight.
Yeah. Now, I guess we have to say Davesprite is the epitome and the best parts of Dave.
Yeah.
Before we get to the later acts. Now let's start discussing Dave in the later acts and how, like, it's a stark contrast of the change in his characters.
Oh, yeah. If Davesprite is an example of self-sacrifice, heroic character who puts aside everything so that he can help his friends, Dave, after helping...
Act 6.
Well, not Act 6. It's like,
Well,
I even
in
argue
Acts.
this is like during Act 5 even. There's a point where I ping that he gives up and he doesn't really want to be the hero anymore and wants to give up. And I say this because he lets Beck kill him. And by what I mean by that is when he's fighting with Jade against Beck Noir, there's a point where they're fighting and he gets killed because Jade, while she's trying to fight Beck Noir, is shooting at him, and Beck Noir redirects his bullets that were meant for him into Dave instead, using, the bullshit teleportation powers. And instead of, like, using glitchy time travel shit to offset it, Dave just takes the L and, decides to do dream self stuff with Rose for a while. And that all leads into eventually him going with Rose to do their suicide thing where they blow themselves up to get rid of the Green Sun, because that's what Rose was told would, help them out.
Mm-hmm.
As she's being played by Doc Scratch. But it didn't escape me when I was reading it that I was like, wait, so Dave's just gonna fucking commit suicide? What?
Yeah, Dave just kind of gives up. And what really was the point where Dave just stopped being Dave?
I mean, I think that's like the point where it starts,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately both him and Rose hit their low points as characters, where Dave is just like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. It sucks. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to be a normal guy and a normal kid. And
It's only been 24 hours, too.
it's only been 24 hours. And I mean, that's understandable. He's a teenager and he's been going through a lot of shit in his life. It sucks. It sucks
Shinji?
dying, and it sucks being killed, and it sucks seeing yourself being killed or dying. and you don't want that to happen to you, so of course you just want to try to avoid it as much as possible, or at least end it on your own terms. That can be explainable, I guess.
But then Davesprite's doing the same thing, and he's already. I mean, I guess maybe because Davesprite has nothing to live for. I don't know.
At the
But
point where Davesprite commits suicide by Nepeta, I'm gonna keep saying that. He's extremely irrelevant in the story. He watched a timeline he tried to save fail too. John was the one
Failed
who
twice.
failed twice, and John was the one that had to save it. He saved everybody, and everyone got reset in the retcon. But Dave Sprite himself, he never got closure on his whole situation where he was the spare Dave, and his feelings of inadequacy and how that doesn't matter, and his own issues with heroism compared to John, who he viewed as being better than him in that regard. And the closeout for Dave Sprite's storyline is very sad in that way, because he can't, I guess, cope with the circumstances anymore. Especially when he's a Dave who is removed twicefold. He's a stranger to a stranger in this new timeline where John is the new Dave Sprite, and he feels the effects of that during the epilogues.
yeah. Dave just becomes. I think Dave just kind of just becomes Shinji.
Yeah.
Like, straight up Shinji.
In fact, I'd go as far to say that Shinji Ikari is far more fucking tolerable than he is. He's less of a slimy
Shinji,
little hypocrite.
At least Shinji, even though he acted way too late, he acted at some point. Dave never acted. Not really.
Let's go over this, unpack that for a second between Dave, Shinji in pre-retcon versus Jimbo post-retcon. Jimbo, by the way.
We haven't even talked about post-retcon.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But anyway, we're talking about Shinji Dave right now, so let's talk about Shinji Dave. His whole thing is the heroism thing again. Not wanting to be the hero, very shying away from it because he feels like he can't live up to his bro's standard of being a hero, despite having to do that to be the savior of everybody, which pisses off Jade when she's Grimbark and trying to force him to do this shit.
What did Bro even do though? Bro had a sword fight and died.
He also cut the meteor in half that saved Dave for a little bit longer, so that the meteor didn't hit his apartment complex too early.
Yeah, but Dave could do that. At that point, Dave could have done that and more. When he was saying, I don't live up to my brother's standards. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you fucking do. You could kick your brother's ass right now.
Well, he doesn't have that closure for it because Dave Sprite was the one who fought with Bro. He's the one that probably had all that closure with Bro himself. That's why Dave Sprite never shows any issue with Bro himself, which it's very interesting comparing and contrasting Dave Sprite and the non-problem that is his issue was with Bro versus
that's another topic.
Yeah, versus Dave's whole issue with Bro's heroism and how he feels he can't match up to it, probably because he knows deep down he's a coward and doesn't really want to deal with it anymore. Versus the post-retcon Dave, who I don't want to talk about right now, so I'm not going to. So,
yeah.
Ultimately what that leads into is that Dave refuses to use his time travel powers even all the way up to game over, and that's what gets him killed, and that's ultimately what gets everybody killed, because he won't stand up and just be the fucking hero.
Dave could have done a lot. He could have fucked with Arania and stopped most of that,
Yeah.
Arania would the whole thing was Arania threw a wrench in everything, and Dave could have time ported, sliced off her finger, and then it's done. Like, come on. Dave could have done something, and I'm sure him taking the... Dave was the only person who really could have taken the lead there, because, he's the only person who could go back. He could have taken the lead and just sit and saved the day, and he didn't, because he was, I'm not good enough.
Well, even then, what he decided to do first was save Jade, but he refused to do the thing that would help him defeat the, Bec Noir and PM, who for some reason was just completely against him trying to help Jade in the first place. God fucking, I still don't know why she was like that.
Doggy Beck stuff.
Yeah, but he's trying to help her. Fuck.
I don't think they realized it. I don't know. Man.
I don't even get it, but even still, if Dave still had to fight both of them, God, it makes me mad. It makes me really mad because he gave up again. It's just a mirror of when him and Jade were fighting Bec Noir. He just fucking gave up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Dave really did become very Shinji-like, and it's sad to see. And then he died. Game over happened, and well, you got probably one of the worst arcs in the history. You got like one of the worst arcs I've ever read in any story.
But
because
real people don't have arcs.
Don't have arcs.
Tard, shut the fuck up. Yes, they do.
God.
Even a negative arc is an arc, but it has to at least feel satisfying in some degree, where you can see this person falling from grace or rising to the occasion. And Dave just, I don't.
If you don't believe if you don't think real people don't have arcs, read the story of Gale Sayers and how he started off amazing, did really great, had an ACL tear in 1965, and then came back from it and fought his way back to the top. That's a real fucking arc that a real human happened. So yeah, real people do have arcs, man. Fuck you. All right, so but game over happened, and which is just trash. John, and then we have the John Do What I Say. He recreates everything so that game over doesn't happen. And now what do we got? We have Dave becoming a weenie on Meteor number 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I was already getting sick of his shit before the retcon, but after he turned bent, I dreaded seeing that red text. I fucking dreaded it.
Yeah.
God.
What happened on the Meteor, guys? What physically happened to Dave?
He turned into Carcat's arm candy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or is it the other way around? Armcat Dave.
Armcat.
The sequel to
Carcat became Dave's arm candy.
Both of their characters got dragged down and washed out from the retcon. I'm not gonna mince words here. Both of them got a disservice from that.
But who didn't?
Who didn't?
Who didn't come out worse from the retcon? John.
Well, if you're talking about what characters had the retcon applied to them, who came out less worse than what they were.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No one? No one?
No. You know what? I don't think anyone came out of it okay.
Yikes.
Because
okay.
Kanaya and Rose are basically the fucking same.
They either came out neutral or... Well, Rose never became a drunk, so I guess she was better, but she had the drunkenness beat out of her by Vriska.
She wasn't fucking, the fact that the words came out of her mouth where she was just I didn't like Vriska, but I have to give it to her. We wouldn't have made it this far without her. I was like, fuck this. Fuck. Why did I just
right.
read Rose saying this? The cattiest woman imaginable saying this shit about Vriska instead of saying some great passive-aggressive bullshit.
Yeah, okay, but back to Dave. So Dave just kind of became a weenie. He wasn't even Shinji-like, because at least Shinji was had like that emotional arc, you know?
Yeah.
Like you could see the turmoil in him. Dave Cat got pushed really hard in Vriskagram, and all that I really remember is he became like as ineffective as Shinji, but without any of the emotional turmoil. He just became like, you know, your friend that smoked a lot of weed and just sits on the couch potato, but like he was pretty cool back in high school, and now he's just
Yeah.
There's like nothing going on for him. That's what Dave became on the second Meteor. He just moved in with his boyfriend and settled down and did nothing.
The thing that gets me about Retcon Dave, Jimbo, I'm going to call him Jimbo now.
All right, Jimbo from now on.
The kicker with Jimbo here is that his like whole thing that he rants to John about, like what his problem is, amounts to fucking toxic masculinity. Are you kidding me? That bro abused him?
Oh gosh, that's a.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that shit. We're going to talk a lot about that shit, because I noticed on our Twitter that some people weren't very happy with this comic that Com posted a few days ago.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, but the thing is that that's Dave's problem, not like that's his problem. That's why he wouldn't use time travel, and he confronts he confronts Dirk, who literally doesn't really have anything to do with Bro and his problems there, and dumps that all on his ass.
It's like, you petty bitch.
Like, I remember reading through Act 6, and like Dirk idolized Alpha Dave. Like, holy shit, Alpha Dave was like this like person who he really admired and wanted to meet, and he finally meets him, and Dave is just like, God, you were such an asshole to me and you ruined my life, basically. Like, holy shit, I felt bad for Dirk. I was like, you know, Dirk was like, well, I guess I could see that happening. You know, I'll take responsibility for that, even though that was a different me. And I'm just like, Dirk, no, fuck. You had nothing to do with Bro.
Tell him to stick his sword up his arse so hard it comes out his mouth.
I mean, at least he could take some responsibility for AR, because he made AR, but like, fuck. Like, just Dave dumping all that stupid shit about his bro on Dirk? No wonder Dirk snapped and went crazy in Epilogue and Homestuck 2. Jeez.
My former self abused my former, or another version of me abused the person I idolized. What the fuck?
I guess I really am the bad guy. Better do the bad guy thing. That seems to be a thing with princes, actually.
I guess I am the bad guy.
How bad me be?
What if this was good writing and it just took us, 4 podcasts, like hours and hours and hours and hours of discussion to finally realize, this was good writing. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, I've been told that that's not the reason why Dirk went bad guy, and that he's always like, been like that, because I can't foist any sort of responsibility on Dave for potentially pushing Dirk into thinking that way, even though Dirk the entire time in Act 6 is struggling against the whole idea of being this manipulative asshole that people think he is, versus like not wanting to be that guy, just wanting to like be with his friends or be with Jake and shit without shit being so complicated. And it's just like, it's just easier to hate Dirk, I guess, because it is. Mm-hmm.
I hate Dirk.
I know you
really
hate Dirk. There's a lot of people who hate Dirk, and that's fine. I was very lukewarm with Dirk at the end of Homestuck itself. I was like, man, that shit with Jake was really sus and terrible, but I'm glad that's done, and Dirk seems to be coming out of it as a better person, so that's cool. But
yeah, but this is not a Dirk podcast.
this is not a Dirk podcast, but it's tied into the whole situation with Dave just being a self-absorbed asshole post-retcon. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah. I want to mention this. Caliborn was the first Dave Cat shipper.
Caliborn, I love you, but god fuck, why?
Sometimes even the great yaoi connoisseur gets it wrong.
I guess so.
Ding, 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 ding. Shipping chart time. We're doing Dave's shipping chart. Let's go. We're going to start off with Dave Strider. I don't think can we ship Dave with Dave? He's like the only character where that's actually possible.
Bros don't fuck.
Peach?
Peach.
Dave with Dave?
Bros don't
I put
fuck.
in Peach. Dave with himself is not a good ship. The only other characters for that work is Aradia and Damara, really. Let's not. Okay, but what about Rose? We got some Durcest here. Where are we putting Rose?
I feel like Rose is not a good influence on Dave, although they have good chemistry. I know that you really like Durcest, but like, I feel like in the context of who's good for who, Dave is slightly better for Rose than Rose is for Dave, because her takes just aren't. They miss the mark with him, and I kind of blame her for why he's turned out the way he did in both pre and post retcon.
I do agree that Dave was like, I know they had a relationship in the Doomed timeline, like Dave Sprite, pre Dave Sprite Dave, and Doomed Rose. They had an actual like relationship, but it failed. It kind of failed. So
Yeah.
And then Dave just left her.
Yeah, Dave did just leave her, and that's kind of crappy. But he knew what the deal was going to be with
And she
her
was
at the
kinda
same
holding it
time.
back,
So
too.
it's
like Dave did something extremely noble, and she just kind of let herself die. She didn't even ask to go with him because she knew where she was going, right?
she didn't really know what was going to happen to her. She just kind of asked what'll happen to me, and Dave's just like, I don't know. Why don't you try sleeping and see what happens? And she's just like, okay. And then that's when she got that weird mind meld thing. That's like the one thing that I don't think was properly explained about that whole scenario. How did that Doom timeline Rose end up transferring like her experiences and stuff to
Seer
the
powers?
new
Maybe
timeline
that
Rose?
was her
I don't.
contribution. But
I guess. I
so
don't know.
maybe Lime. There's stuff there. It's not the worst ship.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm saying because we did have Durces pretty high for
I don't even remember what we had it at.
Rose's
What?
episode. I didn't watch it recently, but I know it wasn't really low. I think you said that it had a lot of potential, and for Rose and stuff, Rose and Dave and had really good early Pesterlogs going on.
And then we found out they were brother and sister.
So I can see why people had the appeal, and then the incest thing happened, and then she's still weirdly flirty with
She's
him.
kind of weirdly flirty with everybody, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Your discretion, then, Con. I'll give that to you.
Cut that out real quick. Shoot. Why did that happen? Sorry, I'm gonna have to cut some things. I'm actually looking for the... God, where is it?
Oh, are you trying
I'm
to
trying
find
to
the
find
episode?
file. Ah, here it is. Yeah, we put it Apple. Okay, so I'll look through and cut it. We had Dave and Rose up an Apple. I would say probably orange. It's an orange ship because I do agree. Dave is better for Rose than Rose is for Dave, but I don't think it's that bad. I'd put it
Yeah,
orange.
that's understandable, and they do have chemistry. It's like you can't say they
Especially
don't.
early on.
Even Hussey was all like in his own commentary, he's just all like, yeah, something happened between them. So shrug.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So, orange for Rose. Now, John, Peach. John is not a homosexual, in my opinion.
John is not a homosexual.
Yeah, I.
Yep.
Although, like, if the whole Dave is just gay thing is true, then his whole situation with John is very interesting. I've interpreted it as he's probably always wanted to come out to John, but knew John would reject him.
Yeah, that seems fair.
Which is, I guess that would be kind of relatable though to a audience, having to deal with the situation where you're in love with somebody who just doesn't feel that same way about you.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's interesting, but it's just something that was never pursued, and then ultimately just Dave got with Carcat instead and didn't talk to John about anything like that. So whatever.
Yeah, really. I totally agree. Now, Jade. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Jade and Dave.
If we're being consistent, then Apple.
She's Apple Terror. She is actually very good for Dave.
I agree.
Is she the best for Dave? Well, I'd say yes because I'm biased.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking about everything that's gone on, and I keep looking at Candy epilogues looming there in the background, and just going, "Oh yeah, he just abandons Jade."
I think she is the best. So by default, she has to be Apple. Honestly, or not? She does, by default she has to be Lemon. There has to be something in Lemon.
I mean, I don't think so, because ultimately, if you take the entirety of Dave through the entire story from Homestuck to the end of Homestuck, if I'm even disregarding Homestuck epilogues in Homestuck 2, like, Dave himself, it's like he's still like a puss at the end of the story, and
He doesn't want the
still
dog dick,
like.
Well, I guess I see why he's a puss. It's like he's hesitant, like, do I have to mess around with this dog dick girl? Man, this is weird.
Okay, at the end of Homestuck, the dog dick thing was not canon.
True. But sorry, I was thinking of Homestuck too.
So the whole like issue there is gay versus bisexual.
Is
And I remember at the end of Homestuck when Act 7 dropped, a lot of people went insane when they saw the picture where everyone's in that field after they enter through the door. And Dave is sitting with Jade and Carcat. People were pissed.
Got their bisexual throuple thing going on.
Well, a lot of people were just like, yay! This proves that Dave Cat isn't in game. Like, it's going to be poly, or like it's up to everyone's interpretations who they want him to be with at the end of the story. Which honestly was the way I was going for. I was like, oh, this is really smart, because you can pretend he's either with Carcat, or you can pretend he's with Jade, or you can pretend he's with both. Sort of like what they did with John, Roxy, and Calliope, also being shown in the same like shot all together.
That is weird, honestly.
So, like, but still, people were really pissed because Dave Cat fans were furious. They were just all like, God damn it, we can't. This is just going to be a win for all those Dave Jade people and the weird poly people who want them to be a thing. It just should be Dave Cat.
Dave Cat fans are the worst, though. Should we even respect their opinions? In my opinion, no. Jeez, that was so mean. If you
Look, I'm just a humble Dave Jade fan, okay? I really liked that. I went through a discussion in Jade's episode about why I like their pairing, but also the fact that Davesprite and Jade is my OTP.
And so in my opinion, I'm not even I'm not even a pro Jade Carcat shipper. I'm an anti Dave Cat shipper, or not Jade Carcat. Jade. I'm not a pro Dave Jade. I am a anti Dave Cat. Okay, I guess Apple works. Apple works, and also it matches what we put with Dave and Jade in our other episodes. They're not the best.
Yeah. We actually demoted Dave to orange tier.
So yeah, I agree. Apple.
But Jade is a lot better for Dave because she does try to bring out the best in him, which is a positive sort of thing for a relationship. It's just Dave's a piece of shit.
Dave is a piece of shit. God, what happened to you, Dave? All right.
He was stuck on a meteor for 3 years where he got to indulge in being selfish.
Everyone came off that meteor just worse. Everyone came off that meteor as a teenager. I mean, it does kind of make sense. You put a whole bunch of 13-year-olds on a meteor for 3 years together. They're all with no guidance. They're all gonna be assholes, you know. I guess everyone's kind of an asshole when they're 16. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's. Any other words on Dave Jade? I mean, Homestuck 2's Dave Jade is. Also, actually, Homestuck 2's Dave Jade. Jade cheats on him. Jade fucking cheats on. No. Jade fucks Rose while she's dating, married, or whatever. I don't even remember the nature of the relationship. Cheats on Dave. So no, I'm putting it at orange tier. I think it's actually orange. Remember how we dumped on it in
Wow, it was just fucking demoted.
That's just what you get for being such a dick.
Is an overall a realization that fucking the writers really fucked them up. And they do it on purpose too. Okay.
Pre Homestuck.
I don't like it.
Or pre epilogues. Or even in the epilogues. Pre Homestuck 2, Apple. Maybe lemon. But after Homestuck 2, especially what's been released, it's orange. I can't put it any higher than orange. Yeah.
This sucks because I hate the fact that they assassinated Jade's character for that. I feel like this is unfair, but I respect your opinion. Plus, we already had the Jade episode, and Davesprite was in lemon tier, so.
I think we have to put Jade in orange tier because of Homestuck 2. But I don't even think, looking through this, I don't think Dave is gonna have any good ships. Jesus. We got Dirk. Does Dirk have anything?
They're romantically? No. I don't think so. God, I mean, we talked about how Dave dumped on Dirk for what bro was. So, I mean,
I would even say that's irrelevant because
there's
even the Durst cest isn't even good. There's no romantic things. I guess no, there is connection, so it's not. So it is relevant. So it's Peach. There's nothing emotional in there.
Yeah,
and they saw each other as brothers.
Now, I do have a spicy opinion that Bro slash Dirk was grooming Dave, but that's a whole different sort of pie to get into.
But that's Bro and
Spicy.
not Dave or not Dirk.
Well, Ultimate Dirk was the one who was pushing Dave, despite his resistance and meat, to fuck Carcat.
Oh,
Do you
God,
remember
yeah.
that? It's very, very uncomfortable.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I did actually get an ulcer from reading the epilogues, and like, if you guys are like thinking I'm exaggerating, no, I actually developed one. Well, during the period I was reading Homestuck 2, it was bad. Or not Homestuck 2, the epilogues. Words are getting hard for me right now. So yeah, Peach. I'm putting Dirk and Dave in Peach. It's incest. It's not even good incest, like Rose.
It's not even good
It's
incest.
not even. You can't even consider it wincest, man. It's just lose-cest. Now Roxy. What do you think about Roxy?
I don't really think there's
Nah.
anything there.
I don't think there's anything there too ironically, despite her being Rose's hot mom. He doesn't really interact with her that much. I mean, I guess he calls her hot. That's
Yeah.
about it.
No.
But he doesn't flirt with her as much as another character on this list, which is very weird, but
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's very true.
Well, I guess that's not weird because at that point he'd know that he's related to her, so he's probably like, "Yeah,
Not gonna Mac.
I'm not gonna be weird about
Jake.
this."
Do they even interact?
No,
I don't even think that's terrible. That's not even. There was
No.
the epilogues where they talked and then got Jake to do something, and then he shit his pants on stage.
why'd you
But that's
remind
it.
me of that? Fuck.
That's it, and I don't think that's even relevant. So
Jake.
I think Jake is
Fuck.
untiered.
Yeah, that's
Jane.
fair.
Yeah.
He hits on Jane. I remember this. Flustered
chubby
her.
You know
chaser.
what? Apple. It's better. It's fucking better. I mean, there's no weird connotations, man. It's not like, oh, this is incest. It's not incest holding it back. There's no cheating. It's just, oh, hey, hey, John's hot mom, and she gets really flustered about it, and it's pure. I've seen some pretty good art of it. I've read a story or two in my younger days that were pretty good.
Are we actually pro Jane Dave on this podcast?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Dave does shit on Jane a lot later, but at that they don't interact at all. So fuck it, Jane Dave Apple. I put it there. We're gonna.
You know what? I see
It's-
where you're coming from here. And honestly, like, yeah. I think they would have an interesting dynamic anyway because of how, like, old-fashioned and kind of uptight she is versus how, like, aloof and, laissez-faire, I guess, Dave is.
No neoliberal austerity policies or whatever the fuck they means. They went hard
Yeah.
on that. They how many times did they say neoliberal austerity policies?
God.
It's like a child just learned a new word.
Yeah.
It's like,
Honestly, it would have been really funny to see them just debate each other over the dumb economy shit since, like, Dave cares so much about that shit in
I
the
remember I was
epilogues.
messing around. I was
I
like,
keep saying,
to me, it felt like neoliberal austerity measures was a fucking meme, and that's how I interpreted it. It was just like some fucking jargon bullshit word, and then I tried to say it, and I said it, and then fucking some guy yelled at me saying, "Dude, they had some real political discussions in there, and that was like." that was like some deep and very well thought out political discussions, and I just like, what?
In a post-scarcity society?
Have you read a fucking
And
book
like,
in your life?
the word neoliberal austerity measures was not just there for a joke. Con, what's wrong with you? It's like,
It wasn't there for a joke, but it has no stakes and no meaning because we never see anything come of it.
Yeah, the economy doesn't even make any sense. It's post-scarcity.
I've always said this whole thing would be funnier if it was just these idiot kids trying to build a functional society with the dubious knowledge of economics
yeah,
and
they don't
politics.
even have books from the real world. Or from the original world. They just jumped in.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't even have their computers.
So how do we get a new president? Oh, you kill Voldemort with the katana.
That actually would be really funny.
Okay, yeah, honestly, Jade, yeah, this is the hot, spicy fucking take. Jane Dave, better than, Dave Jade. Yeah, that's the spicy take of the podcast, so...
With the entirety of Homestuck being considered, not, if we were actually dialing back to just normal Homestuck, I would still place Jade probably at lemon tier, but
we got to put everything in. We got to take everything into consideration. I mean, we'll discuss that later, but we're taking everything in consideration for this. Yeah. Jake and Dave. Oh no, we already did that. That's irrelevant. Aradia.
Yeah.
Untiered.
Well, she does talk with Dave, but it's just kind of in the context of explaining the dream bubbles and stuff. She doesn't exactly engage in him like personally as a person.
Untiered.
Yeah.
Tavros. Also untiered.
God, he bullies the shit out of him. It's the funniest vlog between a troll and Dave I've ever seen.
It's just poor boy doesn't even realise he's just been blown the fuck out.
No, he did realize. That's why he blocked Dave.
Oh yeah, it was the whole welcome to
Took
Nam,
them long
bitch.
enough.
Welcome to Nam. God, it's so funny.
I'm putting that limey because that's at least like that'd be a funny kismissitude. It'd be a good one.
I wish.
Yeah, there's something there. There's something there. There's I could say there's something there, and then Dave is a homosexual, so yeah, sure. Let's go with that. You got any objections?
I have objections to Dave is a homosexual, given bisexual erasure, but go on.
Dave has a penchant for homosexuality. Is that better? I don't even know. My language with that is my lexicon is not the best. Dave likes cock.
Let's talk about cock a lot.
We had a whole episode dedicated to cock. Dog cock. All right. Solix.
Basically the same person.
They are basically the same person, and I've joked several times where if Solix and Dave actually had to occupy the same space for an extended amount of time, they would cause a singularity and collapse the entire comic.
Yeah.
So that means it's lemon, right? Because it is end Homestuck.
I wish. No, but they don't even talk to each other, which is unfortunate because I feel like if there's any character who would call Dave out on his bullshit and probably successfully troll him back, it would be Solix.
Let's put it...
No, because they've never talked.
Okay, wow.
Remember, Solix doesn't talk to anybody who isn't in his friend group.
7 people, maybe. Nepeta?
Maybe. Nepeta RPs with Dave. She apparently talks to him at least somewhat regularly when they were on the Meteor, or not when they were on the Meteor, but when she was trolling him on the Meteor. And he used his persona, Permusk. It's like actually kind of cute, the little tidbits between him and her.
Yeah, I remember that.
But she is just basically like troll Jade, so I'm not really
Lime.
surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
Lime. They become one person, and he voids her personality entirely. But before that, yeah, I would have been like, man, I kind of would have liked to see how
Where's
they
her
would have been together.
personality? No. How do you... Today you have been saying things in ways that have just been horrible. Grell. Or Saxel, jeez. Okay, Kanaya.
Quarantine's put us all in a bad mood.
Kanaya. Kanaya, where are we putting Kanaya? They...
Romantically, no, because Kanaya is not a heterosexual. But she has like a very meaningful talk with Meet Dave in Homestuck 2, which is nice. I just kind of wish they interacted more. Because Dave
They
is
are,
very, like, he dresses very well. He's very stylish, and she likes fashion and shit. I wish that we had something between
yeah,
them
and they
kind
are
of
siblings
involving
in law.
that. She makes some sense.
That would like
Yeah.
that's actually a good thing, and I think the fact that they are siblings in law makes it peach.
Yeah. Like, they have a good relationship, I think, if they're, like, allowed to talk to each other and interact without it being about Rose, which unfortunately it doesn't happen, but it should have.
Yeah, I agree. Ooh, forgot to put this guy somewhere. Let's leave him for last.
I forgot to put this guy somewhere.
Let's leave that for some other time.
Oh, there could be our
Terezi,
lemon tier ship.
actually I can't believe we
Hmm.
forgot about Terezi because Dave Rezi is a legitimately good ship, and it's not tainted by anything.
Dave Rezi is Dave Rezi is like a very
It's
popular
popular,
ship too.
Yeah.
untainted by cheating, incest, has a lot more fleshed out of it than Jane. But
Yeah, that's true.
it's got
Yeah.
there's some good smut of it. There's some good fix of it. There's a lot of there's a lot of contextual stuff in the text. I think it's a lemon.
I can't believe we found the lemon tier
Now,
ship
I
for
was about-
Dave.
now-
Wow.
It's got enough of the spicy factor.
Now, I want to say that I also think Terezi's a shit person, so getting together with Dave, you know, I'm
By the
not.
end, they're both shit people.
They're both shit people, but they can be shit
I'm
people
just gonna
together.
say this. Dave's lemon tier is where John's lime tier starts.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I feel like that's the case. All right. Now we are on to the worst character in Homestuck.
I don't know. That's not Andrew Hussey.
I don't even think there's anything there.
Yeah, I don't think they actually meaningfully interact. Like, Vriska's always been a John troll. So,
Yeah.
like,
She's not into red men. She's only into blue-green men.
unfortunate, because I think that Vriska and Karkat would be a very nice ship.
Karkat.
She'd eat him alive.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
I mean, yeah. I mean, female spiders do eat their mates. Makes sense. All right. How about Equius?
Equius does actually talk with Dave too, and they have a better version of trolling between each other compared to Tavros. Like, apparently Equius keeps up with Dave's raps, which is funny. I wish we could have seen it, but you know, Hussey did that thing where he off-screened it because he probably can't write raps to save his life.
Probably got to throw that in Peach.
Yeah, I'd put it in Peach. The funny thing with Equius is that he pairs very well with Dave or Dirk. Like, just coming off of the cuff and talking with them. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, yeah. I mean, not much romantically, but some good friendship there. Good French. It's a
Oh
friendship.
yeah. It's a friendship. Someday we're gonna have to do friendships.
God damn it. Yeah, friendships.
We'll post like MSPAR's face over the fucking images and be like, we're gonna talk about friendships.
I agree. Now, I think we really should do that. Uh,
Friendships are important for Homestuck, I feel, especially when a lot of people are involved with the friendships of the characters, and especially the main four characters that we were, first introduced to and really got connected
yeah.
with.
I mean, yeah, it should. This is supposed to be about a group of friends, and it's ballooned way past that. But friendship is ultimately the basis of this comic, which is nice to say, but it's lost sight of that. I mean, friendship was based on Problem Sleuth too. It was.
Yeah, but they stayed friends.
Homestuck took that same method. Like, even fuck, all of Hussey's stuff is friendship. Bard Quest, well, not. I mean, Jailbreak or whatever it is. Nah, but there's no friends in there. But
you're thinking of like
Whistles.
Whistles.
There's a group of friends. Problem Sleuth, Bard Quest, and then the beginning of Homestuck. All of his media, all of Hussey's media has been groups of friends, and I think he's lost sight of that, honestly. Hussey's lost sight of a lot of things. But Gamzee, anything?
I would actually say there's quite a bit there. Like, not great, but orange maybe?
Orange for pitch.
Spicy. I like it.
If you take the interpretation that, I mean, he's the one who's effectively ruined his fucking life.
Yeah. And then also took Dave from her. Took Terezi from Dave. I can't keep words straight, man. Yeah, I like that. Gamzee and orange. That's spicy.
I mean, it's better than just as planned. I was evil all along.
Ugh.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a pitch ship, it has a lot going there. My only disappointment is that Gamzee never threw Dave down the stairs.
That would have been perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been perfect. Yeah, I agree. And now we got Equius and Fef. Or not Equius, Eridan and Fef.
Neither have talked to Dave. Although, Hussey had a lot to say about Eridan and Dave being basically the same template character, just, good or evil. Which I'm like, what?
I don't agree.
It's really dumb, but it has something to do with the fucking imagery of their weapons and their destinies to take on Lord English or whatever. It's really dumb. I don't agree with it either, because it.
So, just because he says something, but he gives nothing else to contextualize it, did it ever happen? Is it canon?
I mean, he also said that, Eridan was the, nasty boy precursor to Caliborn, and I'm just no, that was Karkat. It's literally Karkat. I mean, if you replace or swap their quirks and their, text, what they say, they read almost identical to each other.
I never thought of it like that, but yeah, you're right. So nothing really there for them.
Nah, Pfeffery and Eridan are very limited scope characters who don't get much attention.
Poor Ari.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fef could deal with it.
Fef doesn't deserve it. Come on.
Fef's not as endearing, in my opinion. She's just cute girl, haha, glub.
I feel like could have been
Yeah,
more
all of them.
interesting.
Everybody
But
could have been
anyway,
interesting.
we're mouthing Nina
Mina,
right now.
anything? I don't remember anything.
I don't think that she had a like significant
Or even
conversation
Arania.
with Dave. At least I don't.
No.
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 Well, they were mostly involved with like John and the Dream
Yeah,
Bubble
they
stuff
were.
going
I mean,
on.
they also had the. I forgot what it was called. Open Bound? No, was it? No. Open
Yeah,
Bound.
it's
Okay.
Open
There's
Bound.
Open Bound, but that was mostly Mina interacting with other people besides Dave. I think Dave at one point just says, "Well, look at the." Says to Mina like, "Look at these lesbians" or something. I think.
I don't know. I don't
Or
actually remember
I
that
can't
part.
remember. They talked once in Open Bounded. I know that. That's about it.
Yeah.
Calliope or Calliope, nah.
Worst character
No.
in Homestuck.
All right, adding
getting
great tier.
trashed.
Adding great tier for
No.
Calliope. No.
If we're talking about Calliope, we do have to mention for a second he's not on here because he's never actually met Dave. But Caliburn has such a fucking crush on Dave. It's
Gosh, yeah.
insane.
He really does. All right.
He has what I would call the bro crush,
Now is it
where it's not gay.
just some
He just wants yowies of him and Guard Cap for some reason.
just some nice bro jobs between bros, bro. Now we got Doc Scratch. No.
I don't think he's.
We just said well, this self-cessed, even though we said there is self-cessed and it's bad, this self-cessed, I guess we also have to say it's pretty bad.
Davesprite is too good for Dave.
Yeah, Davesprite is too good for Dave, but also fucking Dave is weird about Davesprite, and vice versa. Like,
And that's why it's a
God.
bad ship, because they have interacted enough, but it's
You know what? It's sad because like when they first like started out, Dave and Davesprite were like, "Yeah, we're fucking cool. Look at us. We're gonna like kick ass and take names. No dead Daves here." And they're like, "Yep, no dead Daves."
oh god.
What happened, man?
That's a great question for anything in Homestuck. What happened, man? Now we're here.
Lemon, we were actually Dave Cat's fans all along.
We tricked you.
That fucked idiot.
No, fuck this. We actually debated to add grape tier for this. But
It's not grape tier because grape tier involves complete destruction of the character in such a way that they're not salvageable at all. At least with Dave and Carcat, they are salvageable if you just.
I hate it because I can see something here, but they completely squandered it at every single fucking turn.
They try to make them yaoi soft boys, and I don't understand why, because that doesn't match either of them for their personality at all.
yeah, why? I guess. I mean, it's Fujo shit. It has it.
When was the last time they actually
was a
whipped into each
teenage
other?
girl. I know what Fujo shit is. And I was in the Kingdom Hearts
This is
fandom.
Fujo shit.
Fujo shit is like.
This is Neo Fujo shit.
Yeah,
Which is like, nothing bad can happen ever, or else you are Adolf Hitler meets Stalin, meets Mao, meets Leopold
Plus,
II.
with some Genghis Khan thrown.
Yeah, one of the things about like old Fujo stuff is that Hurt Comfort was a very big thing back then.
My
Can't believe I'm saying
yaoi
this,
lexicon
God.
is so shit. We discovered that a few days ago when I didn't know what yaoi hands were. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So yeah, you gotta. If I ask questions, please. Okay, but please enlighten me. But go ahead. Go ahead on about Neo Fujo shit.
Yeah, like one of the spices with Fujo shit is that like a lot of the times the characters are out of character. And that's what drove me insane when I was a teenager because a lot of the times I'm just like, I want to read the story about these characters. Why are they acting like this? They don't act like the way they're supposed to. But back then, there was also something called conflict that you could do with characters in these stories. And even though they didn't act the way they used to act from their, like, properties, their IPs that they came from, there was still something going on. Her comfort fix or like this character is like sad or they just experience trauma and this other character is helping them cope with it. That's the sort of stuff that you'd see in those stories, and it's implied, I guess, in Homestuck that that's what Carcat and Dave do for each other, except you don't see it. You see nothing except them standing next to each other and being like, I'm gay, I guess.
I'm gay, Lamau.
I'm gay, Lamau, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we gay. Keep scrolling.
that I think is what is pissing off a lot of Dave Cat fans because they want that kind of shit and they're not getting it. Meanwhile, fans of like anything else, Dave Resi, Dave Jade, are like they just want the characters to act the way they do. Like that's how I was after the retcon. I was just like, I would be fine with this if they acted like themselves. But it's like they're both neutered. It's sort of like the same situation that happened with Rose and Kanaya, except worse because Carcat and Dave actually did have like some aggressive chemistry going on before the retcon.
Neutered really is the term for it.
It's strange that they're neutered because they have a lot of sex, apparently. That was a shit joke.
Huh. With the way they write them, I don't think they could without bursting into tears.
Yeah, so...
Look at...
It's
just bad. It's bad. And if you have to argue that Dave Cat is good in Homestuck 2 and stuff now because you had a panel where they're sleeping in the same bed, fuck you.
Homestuck 2 isn't even real. We'll get on that later. I never saw it. I never saw anything for it. I never thought it was a thing. And when they started making Dave and Carcat like cuddle in Briskagram, which was what, 2015? So I was like a 2015-ish. Oh yeah, it was right after Game Over. Story about Game Over, and it is Dave related. The day after Game Over happened, I went to school. Or I was in college. I was a freshman in college, and I went to. At the end of the day, I was walking around my campus, and some girls were like, "Oh my God, you like Homestuck?" And they're kind of cute. It's like, "Yeah, I really like Homestuck." It's like, "Oh my God, I love Dave Strider." It's like, "Yeah, too bad he's dead." And they're like, "What?" "Yeah, he died." And they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You didn't read the update?" "There was an update?" And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted it." I was like, they're cute. I was trying to get their number, but I spoiled Game Over for them.
Poor
And, like,
fucking God.
yeah, it's like, that was for 19 or 18-year-old Con. That was perfect. It was like, yeah, cute Homestuck girls who saw me in a Dave Strider shirt. Perfect. It was like the cool Dave Strider shirt with like the red sleeves and all that. Ah, God. Why the fuck? Like, why didn't they read the updates, man? Pissed me off. Yeah. So that's my Dave adjacent story. What were we talking about? I forgot.
Dave Cat, but honestly, this is fine.
It's a good break. Yeah, Dave Cat, bad ship. Oh yeah, I never saw. Oh yeah, that's right. I never saw anything of it. Like in Briskagram, it just popped out of nowhere for me. I was a big Dave Jade, and I never saw it, never thought about it. I don't know where it came from. I don't know anywhere, like, how it could come from. But back then, I never saw things homosexually at all.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
one last thing. If any of you say anything about heterosexual lenses or anything like that, fuck you. Shut up.
I'm pretty sure.
Get
like,
in the bin.
Phoebe's.
mind you guys, Tart is not a heterosexual, right? Am I right about that?
Yes, get in the bin.
All right, I'm getting in the bin. Yeah, we don't really discuss each other's sexualities. I think with each other outside of it. But yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that because we are talking about the heterosexual lens or whatever, and we had the discussion, I think, during the John episode where I said I could see some context of Dave possibly being bi because of how he was talking with John and then rose about John.
Yeah. I will say I am a straight cis white male, so I have my own. Who was raised in a very, very heterosexual type setting. So yeah, my straight lenses are they're on pretty tight and they're hard to take off. So there's maybe there's some stuff with Dave Cat that I just couldn't see, or I just wouldn't be able to see, but I never saw it.
But, well, I'm sitting here going, I could see, like, pitch Dave Cat being a thing because of how aggressive they were with each other pre-retcon. Although, like, Dave probably wouldn't be for it because he's very anti troll quadrant stuff. At least he was back then.
When he rightly recognised that troll quadrants are fucking dumb.
I think.
Well, we can't acknowledge that because troll quadrants are what make the teenagers happy. We have to adhere to them and not acknowledge the fact that they're really terrible.
Have you ever run into people who really have you ever run into people who really thought like quadrants were real and like there was a real kismissitude or some shit?
Thankfully not. Everyone that I talked to was sane.
My teenagerhood was spent on Pester Chum, the old IRC client that was reskin. It was basically IRC reskinned to look like Pester Chum. I had my own groups. We had Skype groups and chats, and there were several people who legitimately said, "This person is my kismesis," and they've met each other in real life, and they're fucking insane, in my opinion. I think they're just insane. But
yeah,
also
that sounds about right.
Also, they were like, 16 and horny. So, and they're both 16 and horny. So I guess they just wanted another excuse to fuck another person or something. Being 16 on the internet was weird. It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but probably also just insane. Now, do we have anything else to say about shipping and romance and anything Dave related in that regard?
Don't take it seriously.
Yeah, like, mind you guys, we have Dave Rezzi on here. And Dave Jane being the second tier. I hope you guys notice how seriously we're taking this right now.
They should notice, because this is very serious. And if you think we're wrong, yell at us in the comment. Fight about this on the comment if you disagree, because honestly, if you think differently, you're fucking wrong. This is the official tier list, and anything else is wrong.
Prove the worth of your opinions with the blood of your enemies.
Nice.
All right. I think we're going to get back. I think shipping chart time is done, and we're going to get back onto the next segment, so we'll catch you there.